Hi, Ted.
Hey Kim, how you doing?
Not too bad.
Good, good. Did you
Oh,
get your
light is
thing?
brutal.
I know, I was gonna say it's so bright in your eye.
I have to turn my other light on. Mm, much
Yeah,
better.
that's better.
Mhm.
So did you get your green sheet thing sorted out with Ian?
It's not about the green sheets. It's about he says he keeps telling me these things about, I don't know, the music that I sent,
So
that I
what's the
should be
pro?
taking care of some music or something.
I don't know what he's talking about then.
Right, there's the green sheets. Yeah, I know
Yeah,
I'm behind.
yeah,
I don't have time to sit down and do all of them because I'm still backed up at work
yeah.
from being off in July. I'm still not caught up. And I'm working like 50, 60 hours a week.
Do
So
you uh do you have a list of what you've played? I mean, you could send it to me and I can do it.
I do, but if I go and type it all out, it's a matter of like, well, I guess I could share I got it on a Spotify playlist.
Okay.
I know that's what I normally do.
Usually I run mine through MP3 tag, and that pulls the directory for where my files are. And then from that, I go in and I edit the name, the album, the title, the date, and then I go to my green sheets and I just copy paste it in. That seems to be the easiest for me. I wish there was a way that you could just take that and export it right to the green sheets and it would fill it in, because that would be awesome.
Yeah, I
But
know.
I
But the
guess
thing
that's not.
is that I turn around normally, as I said, I normally make a Spotify playlist.
Me too.
And so it's right there on Spotify, but it takes me,
Yeah.
then I'll write it down, right?
It
By
takes about a half
hand.
an hour. It takes about a
And then
half
I
an hour to
turn
do that.
around and then sometimes I'll get the social media post going, which
Yep.
takes me another hour to do. And it's like, listen, I
Yep.
just want to shut my computer off
I know.
for a day,
Like
just one day,
tonight I have to
and
do my pictures for my next posting on Monday. That takes an evening. Like
exactly. And
for Instagram
I
posting.
don't have the time.
I
And
know.
I'm
You just
going to cardio rehab and I'm
yep.
doing all that stuff to boot. So,
Yep.
and it's
Yeah.
just, I'm backed up.
It's a pretty
I'm,
rigid schedule you have to keep on. Like you have to make sure your research is done, your recording is done on Friday, you edit it Friday night, Saturday, you send in your show Saturday, do your green sheet Saturday, look for new music on Saturday night and Sunday, get your files ready for Monday, Tuesday, and then
okay.
start your
See,
processing.
that's Friday.
Yeah,
So you put that on Friday and Saturday, and I have to cram it all into
for
one.
two. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and for two. And it's just I can't keep up.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
can't.
I mean, if there's a way you could send me the songs, or send me even a list of the songs, I
Oh
can
yeah,
put
I
them in.
think I can you can share the playlist on Spotify.
Yep, you can send me if you send me a link to your share list. Your Do you divide them up into weeks, or do you just have a big list?
I've
Weeks.
got my weeks.
Well, that's what I do too.
It's listen, it's yeah, I've got about 670 playlists,
Yeah. Well,
something like that.
why don't you send me a share to your Spotify playlist, your account, and then I'll follow you, and then I can probably look at doing
Well,
those
I
if you
normally
want.
keep them private, so I can share them with
Oh,
you
okay.
weekly. That would
Okay.
be a heck of a lot.
Well, I mean, it's
But
something to think about.
I don't have the time, and I'm
Yeah.
actually considering not doing this anymore.
Well,
It's it's getting
yeah.
I'm just getting just further and further behind.
Yeah, it's a I mean, for two shows, you may even want to just do one show.
I I thought about that too, but what do I keep? Because the new music goes out normally on Music is a Medicine, and then on
Mhm.
all Indigenous music, it's more kind of relaxed,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, easier listening. Let's put it
Yep,
that.
yep.
So I don't know where to draw the line yet.
Yeah, it's a once you get into the schedule each week, it's something that you sort of you have to commit to, or you just say that's enough.
Yeah, and I'm 18 years later, I'm getting
Yeah.
to be that's enough.
Well, I'm only 4 or 5 years into it, so I got a ways to go. Just a rookie, I think.
Yeah, no doubt. But no, it's just I've gotten behind and it's just I get further and further behind every year.
Yeah.
Like because it
Well,
was started a couple
if
years
there's a way
ago
I
with
can help you out with those green sheets, let me know and we'll see what we can do.
that sounds good.
Yep.
Hey, Chad,
Yes, Tom.
your volume is really muffled.
Is it really?
Yeah, I it,
Uh,
it is for me anyway. I can barely make you out.
on the microphone, is it still bad? How's it now?
About the same,
About the
even though
same.
that's a wicked looking microphone.
This is an EV microphone, electro voice microphone. It's a really really good microphone. I tried out quite a few of them. I tried out the Shure, and I tried out the Howard Stern mic, and this one I find is the best for my sound anyway. So if it's not working, I can
I can
try my
hear you
headphones.
okay, like
I
when
can hear you
you're
fine too.
more like directional to like in it, like
Yeah, I'll have to actually angle it probably like
yeah.
this. Let's do that. Yeah. So I just got a message from Tim, and he's madly on his way here. So I'm not sure who we're gonna have tonight. Oh, Steve Kopp's here. Yay.
I am here,
Can you
and
see everybody?
Jonathan, so I sent
Oh,
you an email today. Did you get that email from
Yeah,
me?
I was in touch with her about that
Have you?
song.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Oh, you knew
And
her. You already knew her, did you? Or heard of?
yeah, actually, you know what? I have seen that cover on Bandcamp, and I don't know why I didn't download that song or grab that song at that point.
Okay.
But
Anyway, good, good.
yep, we're definitely going to get that on the air. Probably not this coming week, but the next week after.
Yeah, I kind of figured that you look for a lot of local musicians, and she'll fit right into that. Good.
Yeah, she absolutely will. That's exactly the kind of music that I would play, especially in the first hour.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So
hi Steve.
Hi, Kimmy. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Not too bad. I saw your bio. You've been at the station for 18 years now. I didn't realize that long. Good for you.
Yeah.
we were just talking about that. And
Still
how
got a
much?
ways to go to beat my 44 years, but
Oh yeah,
18
well
is pretty
yeah.
good though.
I don't think that's ever going to
I'm
happen.
not going there.
That's
You're
okay.
And I'm
you're the
not going to
Tom
be
you're the
around that
Tom
long.
Brady on radio.
Oh, you probably will be around, but yeah. Sorry,
Well,
my video doesn't work. That's why I'm not showing my
Oh, that's
face.
okay.
So
That's all right. You're here in spirit and in sound. So I'm just kind of waiting for Tim to pop on here. And then we can
now
proceed.
how many are we expecting
You know
a
what?
number of people or?
It's hard to say because it's busy right now with school, and it's a weeknight, and I don't know. It's hard to say really.
and let's be honest, Tim didn't let anyone know until this morning that I don't know. I didn't know there was even the meeting was. Did he let us know ahead of time or not?
I think the message was sent out, I think, quite a while ago, but I'm not sure that our
Okay.
server, I think that our server was acting up, because oftentimes when I go to log on to our database, it's offline or something, and I'm wondering if maybe the message got sent but not sent.
Yeah, because it looks like most of the people on here are board members, except for myself. I'm not sure about Stefan, but yeah. So got to get the word
Yeah.
out before, more than 6 hours before the meeting. So
Yeah, I think
anyway, just a thought.
I think that it went to the volunteers.
Okay. Well, I'm a
They have
volunteer and I just saw it this morning. So
they have a volunteer list too. So Dave's on it. Yeah.
I thought it went out like a month or so ago.
Well, that's what I thought too. And it's, I mean, unless the server messed up and and it was sent, but then we never knew that it wasn't sent.
Okay, maybe it did. Maybe I just didn't see the email. So that could just be on me. That's fine.
But yes, valid point
Yeah,
anyway.
it was at least a couple of weeks ago that the email with the flyer went out.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I know that the guys have a list that they send for volunteers, and maybe when they sent that list, it just didn't. The server was acting up at the time, and it didn't send everybody's notification. Maybe I don't know. But anyway, today we thought we should probably send another reminder around just to let people know, and glad we did. I'm kind of watching to see if Johan, our treasurer, appears.
Are we going to be waiting for Tim too?
You're muted, Chad. Are you waiting for, or we're waiting for Tim? And
Yeah, I was sort of waiting for Johan as well to log on. I'm not sure if he's here because he was going to do our budget report, but I'm not seeing his name in the list. Okay.
hi, Brian.
Hello, everybody.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. How about you, Kim?
Not too bad. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I moved up to Sturgeon Falls, so I'm not going to be in the studio anymore.
Yeah, you're just sending your shows in then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you still have the shows on the station, right? Which is great, all the Indigenous content.
Yeah. Yep, still doing that right now.
Very good. I love it.
So you might have noticed in the chat, DJ Hollywood has put a message in there that he didn't receive any, he or she didn't receive any emails either. So
I'm starting to suspect that our server didn't send.
we probably aren't going to get a great crowd because not enough people know about it, I guess. That's too bad.
That's
It showed up in my email, so I don't know.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
But prior to today or just today?
Oh, just today. Yeah, you're right. So kind of last minute, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if anyone got one prior to today.
I didn't get one.
You did or didn't, Dave?
I did not get one. I just got a reminder. That's all I got.
Okay. So nobody had it in their calendar to kind of free up the evening for them. I know I had something else on this evening, but I canceled to make sure I got here. Anyway, there's Tim.
Tim.
Here I am. Okay. So who's all here?
All right. What should we start our show? It's almost 10 after, so let's do that. Okay, so hello and everybody, and welcome to Radio Western's annual general meeting. We've got lots to talk about tonight. But before we get started, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Michael Sloan to provide our land acknowledgement.
Thanks so much. We acknowledge that Western University is located on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, the Napawook, Chenongton, and Adawandra nations, on lands connected with the London Township and Sombra Treaties of 1796 and the Dish with One Spoon Covenant Wampum. With this, we respect the long-standing relationships that Indigenous nations have to this land, as they are the original caretakers. We acknowledge historical and ongoing injustices that Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Métis, and Inuit endure in Canada, and we accept responsibility as a public institution to contribute toward revealing and correcting miseducation, as well as renewing respectful relationships with Indigenous communities through our teaching, research, and community service. I say this with care as I learn and grow.
Thanks very much, Mike. So in a moment, we're going to get into the actual meeting, but first, a big thank you to the board for giving their time this year. And it's invaluable that you help us to oversee the station. It's really, really amazing that you guys share your time with us. Also, I can't say thank you enough to Tim, who's done such a fantastic job running this station, keeping our budget on track. And he's put in so many extra hours. It really is the heart and soul of this place. To our dedicated staff, thank you for keeping us relevant and with social media, our great library database, and of course, a lot of creative ads. And finally, to our fantastic volunteers, thank you for your time and passion. You're the reason we're here, and your support and enthusiasm keeps us going. So speaking of finances, if Johan's available, could we maybe do a quick rundown of the budget for this year?
Start with our Mickey, and we'll play a little bit of music.
Oh. There he is. Maybe.
Oh, could everyone hear me?
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
Sorry, I just had to connect to my AirPods. I'm not sure if
Okay.
it's set up, but
fine.
yeah, it's so great to see everyone.
We can hear you. Yep.
Yeah, my name is Johan. I am on the board of directors as just a student volunteer, and just wanted to go real quickly through the budget as prepared by Tim and Chad. So last year's budget estimates were reasonably accurate, so there's really no need to adjust them. Revenue this year is expected to increase slightly due to the annual enrollment increase from, I believe, 36,320 to 37,600 as predicted by Western's Office of Institutional Planning and Budgeting. But in addition to that, we proposed and will receive a 1% increase, which is 11 cents from the current $11.14 per student to $11.25 per student in 2023 and 2024. This number was suggested to us by the USC, the finance department, and would allocate an extra $18,395.20 for the upcoming fiscal year's budget, which will primarily help to cover using our operating costs and salaries due to 2% inflation every single year. We're also shuffling around some expense allotments, as certain costs have increased significantly, most notably subscription rates and our third-party auditor fees. We've also done some transmitter maintenance. At the end of the day, on a $438,000 budget, we had around $32,000 of extra expenses and ended up with a $13,000 loss. For obviously a nonprofit, this is well within acceptable parameters, as we aren't here to make a profit from our fee providers. So yeah, that's all. If anyone would like a copy of the budget, please feel free to reach out and we will send it out to you. But yeah, that's all for me. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Johan. So one other item that we're required to do is mention our financial auditor for the next year. And we'll be using PricewaterhouseCoopers again, as we've done for many years. They continue to be the USC choice, and so it makes sense for us to go along with USC just to make the process smoother. So at this point, I would like to turn things over to Tim, and he can tell us a little bit about what's happening at the station.
Okay. So I have a document. I hope it doesn't have any too many typos in it. The last few days have been a little bit we've had some unexpected things happen. But I'm going to I mean, you can do a PowerPoint presentation, but I find that the lingering effects of that are less useful than just writing something out in a conversational fashion. And so that's what I've done. And this document, I might correct a couple of typos in it, but if there are any, I'm sure there probably are. But it can be available to anybody who wants it. It's fine. And so Guillermo has it up on the screen, which is great. So I'm going to read it, and we will take some questions and stuff at the end, if anyone has any, which they probably will. So I've kind of subtitled it State of the Union. Also, feel free to interrupt me in the middle if you feel like you want to. And I just want to start with something kind of unusual. And I'm just going to read it more or less verbatim. I know this is unusual for this kind of thing, but I feel a need to start with an acknowledgement. Radio Western depends on the University Students' Council, the USC, for the majority of its funding. And for many years or even decades, our key contact ambassador on the USC side has been their financial services senior manager, Vicki McCauley. Vicki worked for the USC for 42 years, and worked is probably an understatement. She bent over backwards for us in order to make certain things happen, and she played an existential role in supporting us through the period of 2015 to 2020. People who are around back then will remember it. I would receive messages from her both far too early in the morning and far too late at night, sometimes on the same day. She spent years trying to retire, but only really managing to get away this past June. But then again, I saw her in the hallway just recently and spoke to her, like, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago. However, Vicky's retirement was far, far too short. Vicky passed away last Friday at the age of 71. Thank you, Vicky, for being Radio Western's champion during the times we needed it most. I don't know what else to say about it. I mean, I'm really upset, honestly. I went to the funeral yesterday, and there were a lot of people who were just kind of shocked. I mean, she did have some health issues that had been accumulating, but nobody expected this. And to pass away like barely 3 months into your retirement is just terrible. I don't know how else to put it. And she was, again, so important to us. And I just want to take a second to acknowledge it and thank her. And may she rest in peace.
Thanks, Tim.
So back to regular things. So, I mean, people who are on the board who are here are going to kind of know a lot of this stuff because we go through it all the time. But for people who aren't on the board, I'm just going to go through some operational details as I've done at last year's AGM and things in the past, just so people kind of know what's going on if they don't visit the station much. And I'll start with staff. So as we did at last year's AGM, for those who haven't been in the station much over the past year, I'll review who we are and what we do, starting with Elijah Ray, the marketing director. He manages all of our advertising, marketing, and promotions, social media, and events programming, and is the first point of contact for most new volunteers and show hosts. He also helps with scheduling, can write and record and mix a good radio ad, and he chooses some of the music that's played in regular non-hosted rotation. His voice is probably heard on the air more than anyone else's. Then we have music director Ian Doig-Phaneuf. He manages the flood of new music releases that get sent to us every week, adding a ton of custom metadata, stocking the Noodle, which is our online music database, with content, and choosing much of the music that goes into regular non-hosted rotation. He also compiles and submits our weekly top 10 chart to Earshot every week. We do get a lot of music of every kind that just comes into the station like a fire hose. And so that's his world. He also, works in the lobby and talks to people, and it's just part of the station's interaction. Matt Thibodeau, recording engineer. Matt started with us at the beginning of April with 35 years of audio production experience, most recently as an engineer at Aboriginal Voices Radio Network and as a Foley artist at Urban Post Production, both based in Toronto. He's also a legitimately successful musician who has taken this month off to play a bunch of shows in Europe. Since he's been at Radio Western, he's produced almost all of our radio commercials and station IDs and mixed many of our live to air sessions. And I will add, just taken an enormous load off of me in terms of having to deal with the stuff that's happening in the recording studio. I've known Matt since before he was even in high school. And we've had this ongoing relationship, working together and not working together for 4 decades. It was kind of a weird surprise that he ended up calling and saying, "Hey, do you guys want any help?" And so he's changed things here quite a bit, and he's just a great guy. Everybody loves him. Navaneeth Mohan, media and technology developer. He primarily helps keep the computers happy, works on our Green Sheet and Noodle databases, and on our website back end. He also helps with news and sports broadcasts, contributes to social media, and can manage a hot soldering iron to fix broken headphones. After many years of being fully committed to the station, Navaneeth has recently reduced his responsibilities to part-time remote work as he pursues other interests. He's going back to school, and he's doing some other stuff. And it's probably better, Guillermo, if we keep it a single page view. Then we have Dion Chung, media librarian. Dion came to us through the Canada Summer Jobs program and impressed us so much we kept her here when that program ended. She's doing a startlingly good job of cleaning up and reorganizing our CD library, which had grown too big to fit the space it was in. And we had a massive stockpile of stuff that came in over the pandemic shutdown, and just boxes all over the station with 100 CDs in it. And she's kind of gone around and recollected all this stuff and isn't almost finished, believe it or not, reorganizing the whole library. She's also just a generally mature and responsible person. There's my first typo. Mature and responsible person who can adapt to lots of different tasks. If she didn't recently have to go back to her classes, we'd have her here about 60 hours a week. Lolly Centavani, media librarian. Lolly's a recent addition to the staff here, currently working part-time in both the vinyl record library and the CD library and learning how the rest of the station works. Then we have myself. I wear a lot of different hats. I'm head of strategy and direction, long-term planning for the station. Boy, does that ever sound highfalutin. I create the budget and manage the finances, expenses, hire staff, and do much of the technical training, as well as manage our relationships and fees with radio and performing rights organizations like the NCRA, SOCAN, CMRRA, and Resound, along with government licensing and regulatory bodies like the CRTC and ISED. I also installed the station's RCS computer automation system and all of the wiring and technical infrastructure. So I have an ongoing job in maintaining that, and that goes back to 2015. As well as our FM transmitter at One London Place. I fix a lot of stuff when it breaks. I engineer many of the station's live to air and remote broadcasts, and I do most of the scheduling work and do a lot of volunteer training. I get a lot of email, which I try my best to stay on top of. And for most things, ultimately, the buck stops with me. Now, of course, there's lots of volunteers in addition to that, but that's kind of the core employee group. Most of us can do a lot of each other's tasks, so there's a lot of overlap, which is necessary for such a small staff. We've also had other employees make excellent contributions over the past couple of years, such as Katie Pisotsky, Zoe Lofelholz, Liam Couchman, and in particular, Madison MacArthur. I didn't put it in this document. I probably should have, but Liam was an interesting thing. He was an ad salesman. We haven't had a dedicated ad person in years, and he just hit the pavement and went around town and got us some paid advertising, and it was awesome. And it was just like proof of concept. Can we do that? And I guess we can. We do have plans to take on one more full-time employee in an administrative assistant role, and we'll be posting the job and doing interviews soon, as in within the next couple of weeks. Volunteers. We currently have about 90 active volunteers contributing to Radio Western, and the majority of them are Western students. Some do live or pre-recorded radio shows, but there are other tasks such as creating social media content, helping with events, promotion, media library management, writing and creating ads, news reports, live-to-air broadcasts, and sports broadcasts. Most volunteers work here at the station during the week, while others produce radio show content remotely and send it in. We are obviously an organization that benefits enormously from our volunteer base, and we appreciate their ongoing contributions to making us a valuable and relevant resource for Western students and the community at large. If you are or have been a Radio Western volunteer, thank you. I know that sounds like boilerplate, typical sucking up to somebody thing that somebody would say in this position, but honestly, it comes from the heart. Those of us who spend all of our time here, it's we don't stop thinking about it. And we talk to volunteers almost all day, every day. So we're constantly interacting and we're always appreciative. And we just have such a great group of people over the past couple of years. I mean, it's been comparatively very easy to manage and really, really good. There's a lot of trust. There's a lot of care. And people are doing it for the right reasons. Next point, volunteer training has shifted in recent years from a group-based classroom style approach that takes weeks to complete to a much more intense one-on-one experience that sometimes begins the first day one walks into the station. We try to get people actually doing the thing they're interested in. Next typo. As quickly as possible while their enthusiasm is at its peak. This unstructured and spontaneous approach has worked very well for us since reopening. But as we continue to grow, it may not be sustainable, and we will have to return at least partly to a more group-based format. Yeah, you get too many people wanting to come in and do stuff and only so many people to teach them. You have to start putting it together. I suppose it would be a natural assumption that coming out of a global pandemic, our quantity of interested student volunteers would increase year over year. But somehow every September, my expectations are exceeded again. We do get new volunteers from the outside community, but the majority of our new recruits are curious and capable Western undergraduate students, many in their first year, and since they provide the majority of our funding, that is excellent. Then under programming and events, during the past school year, we could completely fill our manageable weekday schedule with fresh content, almost all of it live and almost all of it produced by Western students. That tapered off a bit over the summer, which is typical and expected, but our new fall schedule to start next week fills it right up again with a few added bonuses. We covered the entire football season, both home and away games last year, along with many of the hockey games. One significant development has been the cancellation of CFPL AM 980's radio broadcasts of Mustangs football games, leaving us as the only operating broadcast. Having broadcast Western sports since 1981, Radio Western is once again the undisputed voice of the Western Mustangs. The political implications of that when you're fighting for space at a game to broadcast is significant. A rotating group of students, many from FIMS, produced daily news segments. We had remote live-to-air broadcasts from both on campus and off, including an 8-week summer residency at Dundas Place in 2023. Even though it was a long time ago, I mentioned this since it was after our last AGM. And that was crazy. Every Friday night, super dance party downtown, live-to-air. Our successful weekly residency live from the Spoke Student Bar and Cafe wrapped up last April and may start up again this September. This series of shows was a specific request of the USC, which deserves mentioning. There have been some in-studio performances with local and not-so-local musicians, which makes for great programming, flexes our studio muscles, and builds relationships with the music community. And more of those will be to come. Once again, I want to make special mention of our international and Indigenous radio show producers and hosts. These multicultural shows have been a source of pride and an anchor for us for generations, and we appreciate the dedication and hard work that continues to go into producing them. Thank you. And again, that's not just it's not perfunctory that I'm saying that. We really do appreciate it, and it's a very important part of who we are. Occasional Radio Western events continue to happen, whether it's on campus like the upcoming USC Day on Concrete Beach or off campus like the Nick Nemesis Matt Thibodeau DJ performance at Heads and Tails on Dundas Street a week and a half ago. We plan to continue these events, and with some exciting newly acquired technology, remote broadcasts are becoming easier than ever to set up and manage. With the right people involved, we could do a lot more of this. Yeah, when you open the idea fountain, a lot of ideas pour out of that spout. Then we have the technical section, technical and other stuff. After what seemed like an eternity of chipping away at it, our current website went live on Radio Western's last birthday, last Halloween, which is almost a year ago. It's not yet perfect, but it works much better than the one we had before, and most people do seem to like it. The ancient computer that records the show archive section is occasionally a bit flaky for reasons we haven't quite figured out, and I'm still not happy with how some of the graphic elements scale on different screen sizes, but in general, it's been a huge improvement, and most importantly, people are using it. And thankfully, more and more people are posting to it, which is great, and that's going to kind of ramp up a lot over the next little while. While we're on the subject of a bit unreliable for reasons we haven't figured out, there's a second web server just for our radio hosts that manages our Noodle music library and our Green Sheet playlist database. That has a couple of recurring issues, one of them being a random intermittent shutting off of its web publishing engine. If we flip the switch back on, everything is fine, but what causes it? Investigation continues. It is a known bug. I know that much. But again, at least people can do their green sheets. At least people can do their green sheets at home, which is better than how it was before. And lastly, in that section, the severe rainfall, second lastly, the penultimate point. The severe rainfall that plagued London in the middle of July quite seriously affected the wires that connect the radio station on campus to our transmitter on top of One London Place downtown. Suddenly, FM reception had only one speaker and a persistent loud hum. This is obviously an existential problem for us, but it's a super difficult one to repair. When it happened, I quickly bought some used computers and set up a lossless internet link to get us back on the air, but it's glitchy. You may have noticed some occasional slight stuttering of the FM signal over the past few weeks. Again, not serious. It's just kind of like a song will be going and you'll lose like a quarter of a second. But it drives me nuts. It relies on too many networking variables that we don't have control over. And so it's the internet connection that we have now it's a temporary thing. It can't be permanent. It's not stable enough. But we need the folks who maintain those wires connecting us to downtown, which is Western ITS and Bell Canada, to fix them. And the politics of this is very messy. Reason being that when you have 15 kilometer of wires and they don't work, and let's say 6 of those kilometers are on campus managed by ITS, and 8 of them are managed by Bell Canada off of campus, when you call them and say they need to be fixed, both of those parties point at each other and says, it's their fault. Our wires are fine. So take a breath, and we just got to plow through it. But it has been really reliable. I mean, those wires have worked without a single flaw since, I think, around 1993. So honestly, like, super stable old school technology is the best. We bought a new codec device for remote broadcasts that allows us to broadcast live radio anywhere we can get a reliable cell signal. The new possibilities this brings are super exciting for us. Then in administrative news, this is just a bit more sort of heady. As will be, or in the case was, detailed in another part of this meeting, our finances are stable and secure. I did a presentation to the Western USC. They approved our new budget, which has a small funding increase. Our relationship with the USC is generally really good, probably the best it's been in, I don't know, I can't say decades. We get along with them. They get along with us. They come to us with ideas. We execute them. It's a good relationship. We had the new USC president was in here just a few days ago. then I kind of wrote a thing. So what have we learned over the past year, and what are we trying to do going forward, big picture? I think we've learned more about our capacity for pacing and scale. We have loads of ideas, and it's easy to get excited about doing all of them. But if we take too much on at once, execution suffers. Perhaps we need to try to do less things, but do them better. Also, human talent is everything right now. We need to delegate more responsibility and therefore need to do more to attract the kinds of super geniuses who can help us with our technical niggles, for example. I think we have all the right pieces now. We just need to get them all working to their optimum performance. And so that's everything that I wrote there. But if we scroll down, I'm going to do a Jobsian shift. We have one more thing.
Yes.
Note that I used the correct font. Radio station access. You ready for this one? With almost no advance notice, on September 12th, a squad of people with cutting tools, welders, and laptops showed up at our door, literally, and started tearing it apart, showering sparks everywhere and making a terrible amount of noise. When they left at the end of the day, we had a working proximity access control system on our door. That's these things. It has been a very dramatic 4-year battle to get to this point, and I won't detail it all here, but the result is that we can now control who can get into the station 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and monitor all of it. This means weekend, evening, and overnight shows can once again go live, finally. This will be rolling out over the coming weeks. Obviously, I can't have everyone back all at once. I'll never sleep. But we're all excited to get this going, and I will talk to show hosts individually about getting started again live. Of course, some will want to continue creating their shows at home, and that'll still be an option going forward, at least for now. But rejoice, rejoice, real radio again. That is my thing. Does anybody have anything they want to know more about?
Hey, Tim, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So the website, which looks great, as you said, the schedule is there too. Is there any way, or maybe I'm missing it, but and the schedule just gives you the show name, but it doesn't actually tell you, what the show's about. Some of them are.
It does. If you hover over a show and click on it, a little pop-up window comes
does it?
up.
Okay.
Yeah, with an explanation of the show. And we have the ability to edit that very easily. And if any show
I see.
hosts,
Yeah, you're right.
yeah, exactly.
Click on it. Okay,
right.
Cool.
So if any show hosts want to alter what we have there, I mean, a lot of show hosts already sent us things, but if there's anybody who particularly wants to have that changed or have a particular thing or put links in it or whatever, just let us know. If you send an email to Elijah or something, it will it's not very hard to go in and change it. It's a pretty simple edit, and we can have it say anything you want it to say.
Okay, I didn't hover over it long enough, so thank you. And by the way, in your report, it wasn't 980 that went out, it was CJBK that.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah,
I actually
really
looked it up.
Did you?
And when I looked it up and when I Googled it, it showed, because I couldn't remember if I had the right one. And then I looked it up and it said, and there was a bunch of links on Facebook that talked about that it was, but so it was 980 though, correct?
Well, 980 used to do it like in the 80s. And
okay, so that's why. So now
it's CJBK
right, of course. See, I should have known that. JB.
And we've been covering Mustang Sports since 1980, not 1981. But again,
excellent. I'm correcting this as you're telling me. I'm making this historically correct. What's the frequency of CJBK?
They were 1290.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
On the
so why did they cancel us?
They didn't cancel us because they don't like us. They canceled us because their parent multinational mega global corp decided that local coverage of radio isn't important.
Yeah, so CJBK went out of business essentially.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole station shut down.
Okay. Shows how much I listen to AM radio, right?
Well, there's a big battle going on about whether it should be saved or not, because a bunch of car companies in Detroit have decided to stop putting AM radio receivers in the cars. And some of that has to do with they're lazy, and AM radio is much more susceptible to, especially when you put big electric motors in a car to drive it. The electric motor creates all kinds of interference that wreaks havoc with AM, and they can fix that, but it's expensive and complicated, and they don't want to do it. And also, probably much more importantly, um, while an overwhelming number of people who buy, especially young people who buy cars, consider Apple AirPlay and Android Auto to be an important function in the purchase of the car companies, as they've been doing a lot in the last couple of decades, have just decided, well, if we all decide not to allow those things and not to put them in the cars, then the buyers won't have any choice and they just can't use them. And then we can offer subscription services at $40 a month. So if they want to listen to the radio in their car, they can pay us for it. And the car company accounting people are like, that's a great idea. And so that's sort of the deletion of FM or of AM radio in cars is kind of the first step in that. But what's kind of interesting about this one is that it's precious enough. I mean, especially when you get into the more, how can I put this lightly, the more politically connected and radical southern US, where AM radio, especially AM talk radio, is a I mean, quite literally a religion. They're freaking out. And so there's a whole lot of senators in the states and governors and representatives that are proposing laws to force car companies to have to continue to supply AM radio in cars. And so the whole thing could blow over in the next 3 to 5 years.
Interesting. Well, I don't have anything else, so if there's no other questions, then we can.
I mean, everybody knows where to reach me.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, absolutely, Tom.
I know what a struggle it's been for Tim to work on this whole issue of station access. And I just wanted to say again how much I appreciate his efforts. I'm really looking forward to getting back in there.
Yep.
Looking forward to having you. I've already got your show on the new calendar. I mean, it was actually kind of fun to go through, because I'm putting the fall schedule together, and I got kind of partway into it and then sort of like backtracked, because it was like, oh, suddenly it's now different because we don't have, 9 hours a day that we can put live shows. We have 24 hours a day we can put live shows. And so that kind of changes the whole concept of it. And then I start, digging through old messages and old emails and finding people who've kind of wanted to go back to that through the whole last period, excuse me, and putting them back into the mix. And I think it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about people being able to call the station at 4:30 in the morning and somebody's going to answer the phone. I think that's so excellent for the community and for students, because they're going to have an opportunity to get way weirder, and there's going to be students that are really going to want to do that.
Hey, on the schedule, there's a lot of curated playlists. Are you getting more people kind of to fill those spots and some of the new recruits that you've had? Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of spots will be live people or pre-recorded.
Yeah. And actually the schedule as you're currently looking at it is A little bit out of date, and B, missing a bunch of stuff. But the new schedule I mean, there's some overnight stuff to fill. Still, some nights will be filled, others won't. But I mean, again, this is all the possibility of it is all new. So we haven't really announced it. Like, this meeting right now is sort of the first official announcement to the public that this is a thing we can do. So we're expecting that people are going to now that we can tell people about it, and we're not trying to sort of keep it a little bit under wraps. We're expecting that more people are going to come to us with interest to take those slots. And one thing that's actually kind of key is getting back the 7 to 9 a.m. morning drive time, which we have covered on 2 days a week, thanks to Kim and Chad, super, super well. But the other days of the week are just playlists, and getting real people into the chair during that time is, I mean, that's the highest listenership of the day. So it's a really awesome time to get on the radio. Just have to find those morning people who like to get up early, and there are some around. I mean, I remember when we used to do those shows, people would fight over those slots. So It's going to be cool.
Okay, well, as far as I'm concerned, then we can adjourn, unless there's any other questions or comments.
Before we leave, I just need to talk to Tim, but I can do that after everyone leaves. I just
Okay,
got to ask him
great.
something.
You bet. Okay, well then we will have a vote for adjournment. I would ask for a second. Thank you, Kim. And all in favor? Okay, good night, and thanks so much for coming. I know it was kind of a last minute deal for some.
When's the next meeting, Tim?
You know what? Let's go for October 23 or 20 or 30.
So let me just check and see if there's anything.
Either's good with me as long
Yeah.
as I have notice.
23 is better. 23 is better for me just because
Okay.
if we do a Radio Western birthday thing, we'll be organizing that on the 30th.
Exactly, yeah.
Because
that's
it's
what
the
I
day
was wondering.
before.
Yeah. So let's do 23. Okay.
Yeah.
Is
23 is
that,
great.
is that a general meeting or is that just for the board?
It's
Just
just
for
a
us,
board
yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank
And
you.
and if anyone wants that document that I read, just let me know. Well, I'll send it out to board members, but if anybody else wants it, just let me know. I'm happy to give it to anybody who wants a copy of it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Good night, all.